back to another video. Do you see this delicious, beautiful honey butter chicken biscuit? Let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is take a small bowl and we're going to add in our oat milk. And the oat milk needs to be cold directly from the refrigerator. We're going to go ahead and pour that into a bowl, and then we're also going to add in our apple cider vinegar. Now you want to sit this in the refrigerator for a few minutes to let it curdle. Then get another bowl and we're going to add our flour. We're also going to add baking powder, baking soda, and y'all remember all of the measurements and ingredients will be listed down in the description. We're also going to add a little bit of salt, pink Himalayan salt at that. Y'all already know what time it is, and give that a good whisk and make sure it is mixed completely. Next, we're going to take 6 tablespoons of vegan butter. If you are new here, I use Country Crock avocado butter, but make sure that it is cold, straight out of the refrigerator, and make sure to cut it into small cubes before adding it into the flour. You want to take a fork and go ahead and mash down that butter and get it all mixed and incorporated into the flour. If you do have a food processor, you can blend it in there. I do not. If you are not new here, then you already know I don't have one. I do have a blender, but I decided to try to do this by hand since this is my very first time making homemade biscuits. Once you can no longer see the chunks of butter and you have it incorporated, you want to slowly add in that oat milk and apple cider vinegar mixture to form a small dough. So just give it like a stir as you are pouring in each time. Make sure while you are stirring to incorporate all of the flour down in the bottom of the bowl. Y'all, this is a recipe that I randomly found on Google and I decided to try it, and I loved how it turned out, so I wanted to share it with you guys. Next, we are going to take some, you really need some plastic wrap, like saran wrap. I didn't have any, so of course I used foil. Make sure to get the excess dough off of your fork. You know, you don't want to waste anything. You want to use all of this in the recipe. So I'm pretty much just mixing and incorporating everything in just one good time, everything that I couldn't get in with the fork, and just pressing it in with my hands, because you don't want chunks of flour or just flour kind of just, you know, hanging out and sticking. You want everything to be all incorporated into the dough. So you want to first of all make a flat circle shape with the dough, and then we're going to wrap it in this foil and go ahead and pop it into the refrigerator, and we're going to leave it in the refrigerator for a good 5 to 10 minutes. While the dough is resting, we're going to go ahead and season up our chicken, aka mushroom. So you want to make sure that you are chopping off the root end of your oyster mushroom, and because mine are so long, I'm actually going to cut them into pieces so they can kind of be the size of a nugget. Next, we're going to go ahead and season them. I am using Creole seasoning, paprika, onion powder, and garlic powder. Of course, you can use whatever you like, but these are the seasonings I find that taste really good with the oyster mushroom and gives a very chickeny flavor. Once you have your seasoning on, you want to go ahead and give it a good mix and toss up with your hand. Now, you can just go ahead and season the back if you like, but I just decided, since there was excess seasoning on the bowl, so go ahead and just mix it in with my hand. Next, we're going to go ahead and season up our wet mix. I am using just egg with those same seasonings. And then we're going to do the same thing with our dry mix, which I am using about a cup of flour and about a half a cup of cornstarch. And we're going to season that again with the same seasonings. Next, you want to take a pan or whatever surface you're going to use to kind of knead your dough with. I am using a pan because I don't know, I just find it kind of awkward to use it on the counter, even if the counter is clean. I don't know. That's just my thought process behind it. Anywho, we're going to go ahead and sprinkle down some flour, of course, so that your dough will not stick. And you want to go ahead and just mash it in, and again, mix it in with your hand. I guess this is called kneading, y'all. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. Anywho, we're going to just go ahead and mash the dough around and down with your hands. Now, I did not have a rolling pin. If you do have a rolling pin, this is the portion that you want to use that rolling pin to mash your dough all the way down flat so we can cut out the biscuit shapes. Again, I don't have one, so of course I have to improvise and use what I do have. That is what we have to do, okay? So I'm taking one of the glasses out of my cabinet and I am just using it as a rolling pin. Now, I did notice that once I started to roll, it kind of started to stick to the glass. So I decided to go ahead and roll my glass into some of the flour so that it could stop the dough from sticking to it. Now, again, y'all, I do not have the proper tools, the proper baking tools for this. So we're improvising and using what we got, okay? So with this same glass, I'm actually going to use it to cut out the biscuit shapes. And I did not realize at the time that this glass was so small on the mouth part. But as I started cutting, I was like, oh my God, these biscuits are going to be kind of small. But hey, as long as they're good, who cares what size they are? So if you have a bigger glass, you know, definitely use the bigger glass, but I used what I had and it worked out perfectly. So once you cut out all of the biscuit pieces and you can't cut them anymore, you just want to roll the dough up, press it out again, and then continue to cut the biscuit shapes out with the glass. Now, I do have another buttered pan over to the side where I am sticking my biscuits onto. I would definitely recommend buttering the pan. If you have parchment paper, that will work as well. I did not have any of that, honey, so I just used some good old foil, okay? And it did, again, just fine. I spread it out the foil and I used some of my plant butter and put it on the foil and just laid the biscuits on top to help them not to stick. So this recipe makes about 10 to 20 biscuits depending on the size of your glass. Of course, as you can see here, mine made about 20 because the mouth of my glass was so small. So I decided to go ahead and use some foil pieces, just broke them up, and I'm going to put some of these biscuits in the freezer so that I can use them at a later time. That's the thing that I love about homemade biscuits is you can always pop some in the freezer, and guess what? You'll have some biscuits later to cook, but I didn't want to bake like 20 biscuits because I'm not going to eat 20 biscuits, y'all. And just between me and my baby, we're not going to eat 20 biscuits. So I'm just going to put the excess ones in the freezer and save them for later in like a big hefty Ziploc bag. And then I'm going to bake. I think I baked about 5 or 6 for us. Now I am separating them with foil so that they won't stick to each other. If you have parchment paper, again, that will work just as well. So once I have all of my excess biscuits stored in the freezer, the ones that I'm going to eat, I'm going to go ahead and pop those in the oven on 450. And then I'm going to take some butter in a pan. Now, once they are almost done, they are kind of rising, I am going to add some butter across the top of my biscuits just to make them kind of moist. I don't know, I just felt like this would be a good idea. While they are continuing to bake, we're gonna go ahead and dip our chicken, aka oyster mushrooms, into our wet mix and then the dry mix. I decided to go ahead and do them all at once and just kind of give my bowl of dry mix and flour just a good shake to go ahead and drop them into the grease. Now I am using peanut oil for the grease. Of course, you can use grapeseed oil or whatever you like. I normally use grapeseed oil, but peanut oil is what I had at this time. So I'm just gonna go ahead and drop them into the grease and let those fry while the biscuits are continuing to bake. Over to the side, we're gonna go ahead and make the honey butter. So I'm taking some good plant butter into a bowl and we're gonna add just a little bit of cinnamon and we're gonna pop that into the microwave for a few seconds. And then once it comes out, of course, for the honey, we are gonna be using some agave. So put as much of that as you like and give it a good stir. Now you can add this honey butter on top of your biscuits or on the inside like I did. So I'm just gonna go ahead and remove my chicken, aka oyster mushrooms, from the grease, and then we're going to assemble the biscuits. Like I said, that honey butter is so good, y'all. You can use it on the inside of your biscuit as like a jelly substitute, or you can use it on the outside and put jelly on the inside. However you feeling, baby, however you want to do it, but I decided to put mine on the inside. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Do not forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will see you on the next video. Make sure to try this recipe. I loved it. It was delicious.